All right.
Smells a lot like beer up here.
Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is construction, building, developing, and land deals. So these guys are experts in working with builders, being builders and developers themselves, and also talking about land and farm deals. So this is a really hot topic and something really cool. You may already do land deals or do construction. You may not. So these guys will all have to share. So if you will just tell me your name, where you're from, and your team structure, if you work solo, if you have a team structure, and then just a little bit about your production.
I'm Derek Lewis. I'm part of the County Realty team in Central West Virginia, and we primarily work on just rural undeveloped land.
Woo! And are you a solo agent or do you have a team?
No, we're on the team.
Okay, gotcha.
My name is Alan Dare from Lynchburg, Virginia. Solo agent, but part of the Treehouse gang. I think we have 15 of us here. So we're a big collaborative office, not really a team, but we definitely operate like one. It's fun. Yeah.
Production, Alan.
Yeah, production. Again, last year was a little bit down, did mid-50s on deals. Building some specs right now, doing some new development. And the year before that was 96 deals. So.
Woo! I'm Matt Burnett, Nashville, Tennessee. My partner over there, Martha. But we have a small team. We do a little bit of everything, from residential sales to we also develop residential and build houses, things like that. So a little bit diverse. We've been doing it since 1999, and I don't know.
You're older than I am.
And we did what, 60 something houses.
Woo! Yeah, we do anywhere from on a slow year 50, on a big year 125. I think it's the most we've ever done.
So, yeah.
Jim Rufus, also from the Central Virginia, Forest, Lynchburg area. I'm not sure what the treehouse thing exactly means.
Gotta be a member.
Thank goodness, I probably don't even know. Anyway, 39 Icon, we own a lot of land for our developers, and we put together developers with builders to get things done.
Good to go. So, what we're going to talk about first, my first question is going to be the benefits of working with a builder and how you would recommend somebody who wants to get in business with a builder, how they would best go about that.
So I don't work with builders at all. We don't have anybody that wants to come anywhere near our area.
Listen.
Easy enough. So I would say the perk with builders, obviously, with a low inventory market, you're firsthand getting the inventory, right? You're having the newest, hottest inventory. That's the biggest perk that I see with it. Same with me starting to build the specs. I looked and I'm like, man, you don't have inventory, might as well build it. Okay, so I'll build my own inventory. And then what's the second part?
So if somebody in the audience is saying, hey, I really want to get in with a builder, what would be your advice to them as far as how to start building relationships with builders?
More hands you shake, the more money you make. Get out there, drive around, see who's building houses. Go see whose construction signs in the yard. Call them, take them to lunch, take them to coffee. Get in front of them. Don't ask for business. It's every realtor in America is asking a builder, hey man, let me sell your house. You're not providing value. You have to go provide value to the builders and say, hey, this is what I can offer. So, whether it be, hey, I have land in my pocket that you can build on. That's value. Hey, here's my marketing strategy. If you need someone, let me do some open houses for you. No charge, no commitment. So when you're going to these builders, don't just ask for business. Definitely provide value.
Good stuff.
It is good. The providing value, I think, is the key, and it may not be, it may be a new build or it could be a flip also. And so kind of like a lot of times what we do, Marty will say, hey, I got these buyers, they're looking for whatever it is in this certain area, and there's nothing on the market. And so we'll go look and find something to build, because we know it's an underserved market. So maybe you have buyers in a certain area and you look around, there's nothing there, and you go find a builder and say, hey, you know, I've got buyers that are looking for this. If I find you something, you know, would you be willing to build something or to remodel something and work together? And then you go find that and hand it to the builder. And then you're providing value. And then when you bring them something, whether it be land or a flip, then they're most likely going to use you to list it, you know, so.
And how many times do you get paid on that one?
And you get paid at least twice. Or if it's 20 acres and they get 50 houses out of it, how many times do you pay on that 120 acres?
Good stuff right there, y'all write that down.
What worked for us was we found a community builder that was doing a wonderful job. And his listing agent evidently wasn't interested in selling them, but we were. And we weren't trying to take their business. We just sold 17 out of the first 48 that went up, and we weren't even listing them. So the next time that builder went out there, he called us and said, hey, I want you guys to list this. And it's just kind of snowballed from there.
That's great. Yeah, I definitely think you guys have got some great ideas on how to get with these builders. Other opportunities that might come from working with a builder that you guys have seen that we may not have thought of, obviously just getting the build, but there's always a backside benefit. I know we touched on it a little bit, and get one deal, you get two deals, you know, that sort of thing. Talk about a little bit about that.
You know, with the new construction development side, you know, we're doing a lot of townhomes right now, and that's, you know, obviously you're talking high density, multiple units. When you look at those over a career, you know, over a 2 or 3 year build span, you know, it's almost, you know, when you get on cruise control and you're pumping these out, there's so many opportunities, and long term, you're getting these clients in your database for when they're, you know, a lot of these are first-time home buyers, grad students, everything. So they're moving in 2 to 3 years, right? So the possibilities there, you're looking two sales on every person you represent if you manage it right. So, you know, long-term as far as, you know, money-wise, it's very profitable to get into that space.
Find that builder a piece of land that he can build townhomes on. You sell them all, and then you resell them a couple years later. Good plan.
That's a great plan. And then the guy that's gonna come buy the townhome, what happens if he has to have a house to sell? Well, then you go sell that house. So, also a lot of people that are buying new homes or townhomes like that, sometimes they're actually investors. And so we may have an investor come in and buy 2 or 3 of our townhomes. And they're not even living there, but that's just a really good contact because they're probably gonna buy some more somewhere else. And so you have those type options. Also with builders and developers, there's usually other financial guys, investors associated with them. And so if you do good with that builder, he's gonna talk to his buddy and say, hey, you should talk to this realtor, and you have to find whatever property or whatever it is.
So networking opportunities to meet other people with money that can spend it with you.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're networking with high net worth individuals who are probably not just doing one development. So, you know, keep in mind your track record is going to go a long way. And when you get into bed with one of the developers or the builders, as long as you take care of business, do your job the best you can, and no one else comes along that shows they can do it better, then you're going to end up on top over and over again. And even in a small market like ours, Alan's dealing with one completely different builder, and we are doing a completely different builder and developer. So even in our small town, there's plenty of space.
Hey, I'm coming.
He can't stand it. It's a man club, and he wants to be part of it. Got a romance going on here. Let's talk a little bit about just raw land. I know you have said that you're in a more rural area, selling just basically raw land farms for hunting and recreation and things like that. Tell us a little bit about financing and some different things like that, of what someone may need to know if they want to get into selling, you know, recreational farms or hunting land or things like that.
So you have to get really creative because the normal lenders will not land on, it's not a good investment for them. A lot of the in our area specifically, we live in a town of less than 600 people and a county of less than 6,000. So we decided to shift during COVID. There was a huge influx of people coming in trying to find an off-grid property. So we marketed towards that specifically. So all of our buyers are coming from New York, New Jersey, Florida. We're starting to get some from out west now. And we knew when we got on the market, I started working with Jim. He owned a brokerage for over 40 years, and we shifted. I think at the time maybe 3 to 4 listings were on the market in our area, and within a few short months, I think in 9 months we did roughly 11 million in that area with our average sale price of like 20,000. So
What were you doing to market that?
Mostly, I developed a Facebook marketing campaign that was all free, that was grabbing people from those specific markets in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland.
Were you marketing like off-grid properties, or were you marketing for hunting and fishing recreation? You know, what specifically were you targeting there?
Off-grid properties for homesteading, for the survivalist that's looking for something that they come there, they want a few things. They want to access the water, they want privacy, and they want to know that there's no restrictions that's going to get them. So in Calhoun County, we have no building code, which is good or bad. So we have no building code. We have 0 restrictions. So you come there and you do whatever you want. You live in a tent. If you want to live in a tent, you dig a hole. You do whatever you want and stay in whatever type of shed, shack, whatever you want to do, but you're left alone. So our roads, we have miles and miles of county roads. And the typical place for you to go ride your four-wheeler or your Polaris or whatever is you have to go petting and you have to be on these trails. So part of the attraction was we marketed everything that we had. That was a resource to our county that everyone seen as a negative, and we put that out there, and then they started flooding. I think this year we did over 150 different families just in that county.
So they're buying these places as like a destination to come, as second homes or whatever that looks like, and you're still seeing this grow.
Yeah, and then their family and friends were like, okay, we're gonna have some. So our average price per acre we call it, Jim calls it steep and cheap, is your hillside and hollow property that they can have, a river, down by the river, something flat, or up on top of the ridge, and they're there for $1,500 an acre. So.
Wow. Sorry, Nashvillians, that ain't happening in our place.
And the only other thing that we do that is different is anytime we have free natural gas properties, that's our specialty. We market those. And we're getting, for example, I just sold a 243 acre farm, had 3 homes on it, and one of them that was in really good shape, so that you needed work, 4 water wells, 3 natural gas rights. They got that for $500,000, and their tax a year $212.
Wow. Sorry, Nashvillians. Let me ask you what, I know we asked about financing, so are it local banks that are doing the financing? What are you doing about financing?
Yeah, so we do 2 things. If they're coming there and want to build within 12 months, we get them with a construction loan. So we'll get them the land, and then within 12 months, we either find them a company where they can do a 5-draw for like a modular home, mobile home, something like that, or which includes the infrastructure build out, or we will, if they can't find a builder, which is very hard in our area, they will just go with our local bank. They're going to pay 20 to 25% down, and their interest rates are going to be a little bit higher, but they don't care. This is what they're selling.
They're saving on the actual land.
Yeah,
also.
they're selling in Florida, New Jersey, wherever, a postage stamp block in the middle of town that they're paying $17,000 a year in taxes, they can't retire on that. So then, you know, that's why we market to those specific areas, and it's all free.
Fantastic. Can anybody else on the panel touch that?
Well, I love what he does, and, you know, the thing is I think like that investment is something that, like, I've got a lot of deals going on right now, but Charlene put that one up with it was a camp that was similar to what he's doing, and she sent it to me, and if I didn't have as many things going on, I was like, if I tell Ashley I want to buy this camp, she might kill me. Because we just did 60 acres in Puerto Rico that we're doing kind of the same kind of thing where it's going to be a lot of ecotourism. Guys, that's a word you need to be very familiar with right now because I'm very cheap mindseted. I love the $1,000 an acre land. And what I've seen even in Nashville, we got a friend, and this is I know I'm bouncing all over the place, but this guy builds freaking apartment buildings. Like $35, $40 million apartment buildings, but his mind's literally moving into Derek's wheelhouse because he just bought a bunch of acreage almost on the Kentucky line, and he's cutting it up in 5 to 10 acre tracts, and he's selling it out like freaking in 20 minutes. It's like, bam, people are seeing that. And the other thing, and
They're not making any more land. So
guys, this
people
is
are going further and further out, so you've got to learn how to do this, guys. I mean,
You really do.
You really do. And Matt and I talked about this too with land. We're in Nashville, right outside of Nashville, but expanding. And with EXP, you can license your multiple states. So we're really close to Kentucky. Things are a little bit cheaper there, so license there. You've got to start thinking about what, this type of stuff, ways to fill in the gaps.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have seen the quote, what's the best investment on earth? It's land, right? You're not making any more of it, like Mark said. There's so many avenues you can go with land. You can buy it and hold it. You're making it's guaranteed to increase in value. You can buy it and split it up, depending on the location. Can you subdivide it? There's so many people out there making millions and millions of dollars that just buy land, put the plat on it to split it up into 20 lots, and then sell it. That's it. And that's all they're doing. They're making millions of dollars doing that. That's another niche. Or niche. I'm saying niche.
Whatever. We're going to roll with it.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's so many different avenues that you can look at. On the land side, for like the development side of it, we're looking for stuff with infrastructure. Does it have sewer and water running to it? That's the stuff you can get high density, high number of townhomes. You can get apartments on. With a buy and hold, I bought 80 acres a couple of years ago. It's just recreation for me and my buddy. Like we take the kids down there, we hunt, we fish. That's it. In 3 years, that thing it's skyrocketed. 4 years. So. There's so many different avenues you can do and make money in land. But yeah, definitely, that's where it's at.
How would you guys recommend agents that have not dealt in land before, where are they going to start learning how to do this? Because when you're going to search for land to take to somebody, you've got to kind of know what you're doing because you don't want to just take them a piece and then and look foolish because it doesn't have the things that they need. So let's talk about where they start. I mean, my recommendation would be find somebody that does know and learn from them, but you guys may have other ideas about that.
Definitely, definitely find someone, and unless you grew up on it and, you walk in land, you're an outdoorsy person, it's very tough because you could go on the GIS and see the perfect track, but then you go walk it, and it's, steep, okay, well, that's a lot of dirt movement, that's a lot of terrain, you got a creek running through the middle, that cuts out development, so definitely find somebody that knows it. I would say, the best part, find some big tracts of land yourself, go walk them. Call somebody that specializes in timber value. Hey, walk this property with me. Tell me what to look for. Because timber value is huge. You can buy a 200 acre tract, and it's been cut over 10, 15 years ago, and it looks like good hardwoods, but in reality, it's not worth anything. But then when you go on it, it's got oaks and maples and hickory trees, and on that, you're looking at $300,000, $400,000 worth of timber. So, definitely just find those professionals, take them out in the field, walk it, boots on the ground, get out there, see what you're working with.
What are the top 3 to 5 things that an agent should look for when looking at land for potential, either for let's just go with development. Let's say, what are the top 3 to 5 things that would trigger them to think this could be a good piece of development property?
Water. Water's number one. And where we are, in some places it's beautiful land, but there's not enough water to support more than 3 or 4 houses. So, water, zoning, sewer, there's what's around sewer, those are the 2. Water and zoning are the first 2 things.
Where do they go to find out about water?
Depends on the municipality, but you can, usually send in a request to that water department for that particular property and say, what can I get? And sometimes they'll wanna know how many lots, even if it's a very preliminary, some sort of a drawing, it's like, I wanna get 30 houses on this, will it support it?
And some of these municipalities are very stingy with their water and sewer maps. They protect those at all costs, so you really gotta get in with somebody and sneak in and get one of these copies. I've got a copy hidden in my office that I don't even tell my office people about. I'm like, I shouldn't have this. I'm probably gonna get killed for having it, but,
The treasure hunt is on.
Everyone in the office here is here, so Jim?
Well, honestly, Stockton County is wonderful about updating the information, overlay that. Lynchburg is really good about it, so you have a pretty good idea. Once you do start getting to the counties, even recording of transfer of land may take months to happen. So in the city, the next day you bought it right away. But knowing what your county is planning in the future, we talked about that a couple of times yesterday. If you attend those meetings and look at the comprehensive plans and the 10-year plans, you know where it's going. Like, I know we've all sat in on one of Jay's Zoom calls where he says the great one knows where the book's gonna be. So if you've ever heard the Wayne Gretzky quote, that's his go-to. So with those plans in the city and getting to know the council members and talking to them, you're gonna know things even before they start announcing them. And those are really critical because then you can go plan ahead and then you'll have this information when you show up to a council meeting and you're telling the council what's happening, and they turn to your team and they say, they're doing what? And then you just see how you wrecked the city's 10-year plan because they weren't taking into account what some of the largest employers, who obviously are gonna take up most housing, when they don't know that what's going on even in their own town. Sometimes you have to know more than they do, and you need to really know more than the builders and whatnot. Because builders, do you know what they do? They just build, okay? That's lovely, we need them. We can't build enough. But builders build. And real estate people, we real estate. So the way to real estate is to know as much as you possibly can. And the easiest thing to do is when you find these properties, because you know where the buck's gonna be, you find it before everybody else. You have a lot less competition that way. And we know what that's like. So let's not compete. Let's get there ahead of everybody else.
And I love what he said about the properties, and when you find the properties, and I watched Matt do this numerous times, figuring out who owns the properties that touch it. Because you never know who's gonna sell. What a great opportunity to reach out. If you've got somebody that wants this piece, does this guy wanna sell? Does this guy wanna sell? I mean, you just have like 4, 5, 6 people you can call and with something about you. Do you wanna sell? I got a buyer. So there are so many opportunities with land and development. Do you guys have any questions for these guys? We've got a plethora of knowledge up here, and they are dying to share it. So, do you have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Derek, what's your best listing that you have right now? When we find you with a buyer?
What's the best listing that I have right now? So Jim, Jerry, and I we have, one that is roughly 750, almost 800, I'm wrong, 826 acres. I think it's up to like 2.2 right now, but it's got over 100 acres of riverfront, several miles of riverfront property. And then
Anybody want to split that?
We have a buyer. Who wants to go in?
So that's the stuff. The only problem in our area is when you find these are old family farms. So to what she was talking about earlier, touching parcels, anything that is contiguous that they may want to sell. We have to do that on a daily basis just to get legal access to these properties. So we will track down specifically owners that have land in the state, that live out of the state. And if they've owned it for more than 10 years, I'll contact them directly and say, hey, listen, we have this piece behind you that's gonna bring in this. Yours is obviously the, servant land for them to get through. Why don't we price yours a little higher and sell yours at the same time? So that's, that's how we're able to take a bad situation, which would be a court case to get legal access to this place, and make everyone money in multiple sales.
It's good stuff, Noah. Yes, sir. This is a great question he's asking. I don't know if you guys can hear him.
How do you determine the value of land? And it's such a broad array, right? You can have land that, is in a prime location, but doesn't have water and sewer, so you gotta sell it a little bit less because, infrastructure is expensive. So in order for someone to develop it, they've gotta spend $500,000 to bring water and sewer there. So you've gotta factor in that. But, the biggest thing, for me, put eyes on it, walk it, understand the infrastructure that's there, what it would take to get there. So you're basing your comps off of that.
So do the research on the piece you want to find.
Yeah.
Your value. Do the research. Does it have water? Does it have sewer? Is it landlocked? Does it have good access? How much road frontage? Tell them the things they're looking for here,
Road
just so they
frontage
can
is
comp it.
huge. Road frontage is gonna add value for sure. Water on the land will add value for sure. Depending on, again, if you're out in the county where it's not really developable necessarily, but, somebody just wants some space, that, again, creek's gonna add value. Intangibles such as view, location, access, all that's gonna add value. So it's just kind of knowing your market, putting eyes on it, understanding, and go, obviously don't trespass, but go and, put eyes on the land that has sold, see how it laid, see if there's any infrastructure, any road work, any timbering. Again, timber value is huge, so you have to understand what's there. I will say this one tip, or an app you guys can download for finding land. This is, I have, my phone, I have Hunt Stand, and it's, for my farm, I just mark where my deer stands are, but you can see all the property lines, owners, and everything. Onyx is another one, so download one of those apps, Hunt Stand or Onyx. Hunt Stand. Or
Landglide.
Yeah, Landglide, Onyx, any of those. And, while you're on the move, while you're touring these properties, you can pull up and pretty much see a general idea. Don't live by it, because again, the counties take forever to update. But it's a general idea of property lines, you can see who the owner is. So what I do, especially with the development, the building side, if I'm driving and I look over to my right, man, that's a nice flat lot. Pull it up, mark it, and then when I get back to the office, I'll pull it up on GIS. Who owns this? Let me start sending them letters out, so definitely download.
End user is another thing you'll need to consider when you are comping out your land. Who's the most likely end user? What's the best use of this land? Is it development? Is it recreation? And then you want to make sure your comps are the same. You don't want to comp a developable piece of property with one that's undevelopable. So
I want to say one other thing. Dialogue is critical with people that own massive tracts, okay? Start using the word, would you consider maybe developing your land? Because when you go to a landowner that's owned a piece of property for 100 years, if you start saying sell their land, you don't enter the conversation with that word. It's a bad word. Hey, Mr. Jones, I have a beautiful, beautiful piece of land. I see you guys probably had in the family a long time. You ever considered maybe developing pieces of it? You know, looking for maybe a partner? And then it becomes their own. We had a deal, it ended up not working out. That was the only way we got into the conference. I need to go back and put that deal together, by the way. But he wanted his name to be a part of it. Like you start, you know, the spin.
It's a legacy. It's a legacy.
So start using the word, hey, would you consider a partner? Would you ever considering, you know, maybe subdividing a piece off? Don't go after the whole 100 acres. Would you ever, you know, stuff like that?
Well, it's also, land is not non-emotional. Commercial typically is non-emotional. Land can be even more emotional than houses if it has been in families for years and years. I think that's a good point. Question back here.
When you write a contract for a buyer, you're representing a buyer, how long of a due diligence period do you put into the contract to check for water, infrastructure, etc.?
This is a great question. He has asked that when you're writing a land contract, and this is huge, because this can be a big mistake where you get it under contract, don't have enough time to complete your due diligence. He's asking how much time do you allot for due diligence when you're writing a land contract for a client? Because there is so much to check out. You want to make sure that you have plenty of time to do that. Great question.
It is a great question. I started in commercial, and we use commercial study period due diligence all the time. You oftentimes will put in your contract where you have the option to extend them. You can get options on the property where, say, they do this commercially when CVS or Walgreens is cobbling together some properties. They will have, I've heard of for years, where they'll be paying landowners behind them that they're gonna need their land eventually, and they're paying $1,000 a month, like 5 or 10 of them around the property. So the study period gives you the opportunity to do all of your due diligence, to do the numbers. You sit down with your engineers and find out exactly how much everything's gonna cost, and then you can figure out how many units you can put on the property at that point. And then you can say, well, is it worth building it or not? And sometimes the purchase of the land is a very small amount of everything. When you look at it, you know, here's one property, it's 60 acres, it's 1.5 million to buy it. However, it's 8.5 million just to get it ready to start building on it. So you want as much time as you can always ask for more. It's best to front load your need for an extra study period. So don't just go in there and draw up a contract and say, oh, we need 6 months. You need 6 months, we might need another 6 months, so put it in there in front.
So on average, what is your typical due diligence period?
Again, I don't think there's a finite time, honestly, because like Jim said, you know, you don't know, we're running into delays right now with the county just because, you know, we're trying to get something rezoned and the county's taking forever.
Let's assume they're starting out with land. We're not buying multi-million-dollar tracts. That may be a smaller development.
If we were starting out just a small development, I would say write the contract for 6 months, option to renew for 90 days or re-up for 90 days with in contingency of, like if I need to get it rezoned, in contingency of subject to rezone. You know?
Zoning is the biggest difference,
Yeah.
on your time.
Okay, we got time for one more question. Yes, ma'am.
I know in West Virginia, a lot of times when we sell raw land, the sellers want, the buyers want to know, are mineral rights impacting this property? You find out off the developers, do they care about mineral rights?
Okay, her question was, in West Virginia, there's a big concern with mineral rights conveying with the property. She just wanted to know if this is something that developers care about or not.
I don't know much about mineral rights, to be honest with
You
you.
never ran into it.
So,
Skip the national, guys.
so in particularly, the mineral rights matter in West Virginia because of the oil well drilling. And rightfully so, they do not want to purchase this piece of property and find out in 10 years, you know, technically it's like 625 feet or 600 feet, that they're gonna be drilling on their land where they've, you know, had whatever. Because you cannot stop somebody that owns the mineral rights to your property from drilling. The only thing that can stop them is from putting it within 600 some feet from your house or 200 some feet from a water source. So the
That's
way,
interesting information to have if you're trying to get around it.
yeah, so the way you do that is, like when you're searching to find out if you're going to sell the property to figure out if you have the mineral rights, you can either one, pay somebody to abstract the title and find out when it was split, likely before the Civil War, and or otherwise, when you search that owner's name, you're going to find out that they're also being taxed on minerals. You're going to see that there's minerals, and the tract of minerals, 9 times out of 10 is not going to match the acreage you have. So you may have half an interest in 454 acres. So honestly, it's only really important, and I figure it's not super important to developers, but it is important for somebody that wants to come there and be left alone.
Great. Well, listen, this was a great panel. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Lots of information, lots of knowledge. So I hope we got everybody.
Hey, let me say one other thing. Next Tuesday, on our Zoom, I want, because I feel like there's a million other things we haven't covered on it. And guys, this is about creating listings. People are, I don't have any deals. Learn how to create the deals. And I think what we're talking about can be a difference maker in every single one of y'all's businesses, to reach out in those rural areas and learn from them. So if y'all would be game next Tuesday, can we make that whole Tuesday morning with us talking about land? Would y'all be game for that? Because I feel like we can do this for all day. So thanks for putting that on, Mark.
Good stuff.
Okay.
Time